Welcome back to the Crypto channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, the US stock market is having a quick recovery, which is really helping the price of Bitcoin and crypto, with Bitcoin actually playing out this oversold signal in the short term over the last one day, and also is now testing a critical area on the price chart. And also in 1 day from now, we have the next FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, which could potentially heavily affect the price of Bitcoin and crypto in the shorter term. So I'll be talking about that in just a moment. And on top of that, I'll also be talking about Solana testing a critical level on the price chart, alongside Chainlink also testing an important level of support. So I'll be talking about all of that and so much more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, and before taking a look at the US stock market, we need to talk about the upcoming FOMC meeting, also known as a Fed meeting, because this will be happening around this time tomorrow. In fact, the interest rate decision will come out at exactly 7 p.m. in the GMT time zone tomorrow on the 29th of January. And so obviously you could use that to work out with your own time zone, but once again, at 7 p.m. GMT is when we're getting the new interest rate decision from the Federal Reserve. And if we're looking at what the expectations are, essentially the current federal funds rate on the high end is 4.5%, and essentially everyone is expecting 4.5% with the new numbers. So essentially no change in interest rates. And if we're taking a look at what the market is actually pricing in, currently people are expecting around a 0.5% chance of a 25 basis point rate cut, which means reducing interest rates by 0.25%. But once again, that's a less than 1% probability. And right now, around a 99.5% chance of no change in interest rates. And so essentially the entire market is pricing in for interest rates to simply stay the same tomorrow, which means if we see that, then we'll likely see nothing major around that Fed meeting, no major volatility if interest rates remain unchanged tomorrow. But if we somehow see a change in interest rates tomorrow with the Federal Reserve decision, which once again is happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. GMT, then that is where we could potentially see a lot of volatility if they actually change interest rates either towards the upside or to the downside. So for example, if they reduce interest rates by 0.25% or 25 basis points, we'd likely see a major pump across the markets, and vice versa if they somehow increase interest rates tomorrow, which basically no one expects, but if they increase interest rates, would likely see a dump across the markets. But as I said, pretty much everyone is expecting an almost guaranteed at this point no change in interest rates. It's just if we do see one of those other outcomes, that is where we could see a lot of volatility. So just be aware of that. And as usual, we could also potentially find a bit of volatility around the Jerome Powell press conference, which starts roughly half an hour after this interest rate decision tomorrow. And so leading up in the minutes before the interest rate decision, and usually around half an hour after the interest rate decision, we usually see a little bit of volatility in the market regardless. And as usual, I will be tweeting out this new number when it gets released tomorrow over on my Twitter. So if you want extra real-time updates throughout the day, check out my Twitter link below. And with that being said, taking a look at the QQQ, which is essentially tracking the NASDAQ 100 index. And obviously in my last video just yesterday, I explained why the quick drop in the NASDAQ 100 index also influenced the price of cryptos, with that quick drop basically in the exact same time. And that was mainly due to DeepSeek, which is basically a new Chinese AI. And I cover that in more detail in my last video here on the channel. So if you want to get up to date on what basically happened right here, then check out my last video just yesterday. But of course, the point to pay attention to on this chart right now is the fact that we are actually seeing a quick recovery. At least so far, we're seeing a quick recovery in the NASDAQ 100 index, which is obviously a good sign to see, not just for the NASDAQ, but for crypto. Because as I explained yesterday and a lot previously here on the channel, usually a lot of the crypto market is very correlated with a lot of the stock market, specifically the NASDAQ 100 index, which are basically the tech stocks. And even though there's not really any massive fundamental correlation, there is definitely price correlation that we see quite often between crypto and stocks, specifically tech stocks once again. And so that's why it's a good sign to see for crypto that we're actually seeing a recovery in the stock market. So once again, this is good for crypto, which I explained in my last video. I said if we see a quick recovery in the stock market, that can really help out crypto in the short term. And that's what we've seen over the last 1 day. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin price chart on the weekly time frame, frame. Technically speaking, despite short-term dumps or short-term crashes or whatever you want to call them, zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, we're still within a larger bull market here. We can remain within a bull market despite seeing short-term pullbacks along the way, so keep that in mind. And if we're taking a look at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we've not yet fully regained any bullish momentum here. Obviously, previously we were starting to see a small amount of bullish momentum in the shorter term, but for now, we're still lacking bullish momentum as seen here in the weekly Bitcoin MACD. But obviously, this alone does not mean the bull market's over. It just means we're still taking a bit of a pause from the bull market, just in the shorter term, potentially getting ready for that next major move. Like, for example, what we saw pretty much exactly 1 year ago after close to 2 months of choppy sideways price action from early December all the way until the end of January of just basically sideways price action. It was basically right around the end of January and even start of February where we finally started that next major move towards the upside, with a lot of momentum coming into play basically at the start of February. And so based on this chart right here, which obviously does not guarantee anything, but based on this chart right here, it is likely that potentially in the coming days or weeks, specifically over the next few weeks or so, moving into February, it is quite likely we could start to see more momentum picking up in the price of Bitcoin. And if we're taking a look at this 4-day Bitcoin chart, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And looking at this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we still have a possible bearish divergence flashing on the weekly time frame, which is still something to pay attention to, a possible warning signal to watch out for. But for now, we still need to see a little bit more confirmation here to actually properly confirm this bearish divergence. So it's something that is forming, something to watch out for, but nothing to necessarily act on, at least as of right now. But maybe down the road, maybe in a month or two from now or later in the year, it could perhaps extend the bearish divergence with another higher high in the price and another lower high in the RSI. And then maybe at that point, we might be starting to top out. That's what I've talked about recently here on the channel. But either way, if you want to prepare and get set up, ready to go to take any of these trading opportunities in the price of Bitcoin or crypto, personally, I take a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX, so I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some exclusive rewards that are only available using that link. So if you simply just click that link to make your account, then deposit $100, you get a $20 bonus. Or if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $100 bonus straight into your new account. And also, if you're trading on that account, you can get a brand new Apple Watch, Apple AirPods, or a brand new iPhone 16 Pro Max simply just by trading crypto on that account. But once again, that's only available if you use the link below this video to make your account and start trading on that account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link below this video. And also, in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And as another exchange out there, if you don't want BTNX for whatever reason, there is also Bybit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I will also make sure to leave a link to Bybit below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And with that being said, taking a look at this Bitcoin chart on the 8-hour time frame, and as of recording this video, we're retesting this area of previous support, which temporarily acted as a bit of resistance in the short term, and that was sitting in between around 101,000 to 103,000. And as of recording this video, we've not yet fully confirmed a breakout back above 103,000, which means it is still possible we could find some resistance around here. But of course, if we start seeing candle closes back above 103,000, and ideally if we can flip this area into new support again with some sort of retest like this and actually bouncing from this area, then in that case, of course, that would be a bullish price structure in the shorter term, flipping again in the short term. Obviously, the nature of short-term timeframes is that they change quite a lot. And so one example of that was right back here where we were clearly trending in the bullish direction. And then we saw a harsh rejection from this resistance. And then the moment we broke this support, we reversed into the bearish direction for the next few days and weeks here. So essentially that reversal happened in just a couple of days or so. And so if you don't want the constant flipping between bullish and bearish all the time, simply just zoom out to the larger time frames, because obviously I've been basically non-stop bullish on the price of Bitcoin on the larger time frames since all the way back down here at around 60,000, give or take, is where I started to flip a lot more bullish again after this larger bearish trend that we saw for most of 2024. And since then, since around September 2024, all the way until now and continuing from now, basically I'm still bullish on the larger time frames, so I haven't flipped once on the larger time frames since then. And so once again, for the traders out there that always want new trading opportunities basically every day, focus on the smaller time frames because they flip around a lot basically every few days. But on the larger time frames, they barely change. It takes a long time to change the larger time frames. So if you don't want to flip between bullish and bearish all the time, just stick to the larger time frames. But with that being said, taking another look at that 8-hour time frame, and now if we can break out back above around 103,000 with confirmation, we still have resistance in this area to watch out for, sitting in between 106,000 to 107,000, and above that area, I would also expect some resistance at closer towards 108,000 to 109,000, basically around the all-time high. But as I just said earlier, because at the time of recording this video, we've not yet confirmed the breakout back above 103,000, for now, the price structure is still bearish until that actually confirms. If that confirms, and especially if we retest this area and form some sort of higher low, that will be the change in price structure back in the bullish direction that I'll be watching out for. But as of recording this video, that's not yet happened. And obviously, as I mentioned earlier in the video and also yesterday, one of the reasons why we saw this quick little recovery in the price of Bitcoin over the last 1 day or so was due to the fact that the stock market here has had a quick recovery over the last 1 day. But on top of that fact, we're also playing out an oversold signal on the 4-hour Bitcoin price chart. Because we could see with that latest dump over the last couple of days, that quickly brought the RSI on the 4-hour time frame down into oversold territories and actually confirmed an oversold signal for the first time since around the 13th of January. And usually, not always, but usually when the RSI enters into oversold territories or gets close to oversold territories, that usually marks at least a local low in the price, telling us that we're running out of room towards the downside and we're due to see a bit of a reset back towards the upside in the RSI, which either means some choppy sideways price action or perhaps a bounce in the price of Bitcoin. And now this signal by itself does not necessarily mean the bottom, it just means a local low, and we're due to see a bit of a reset back towards the upside. And of course, that has been playing out over the last 1 day and could potentially continue to play out for a little longer, but I would not necessarily rely on this signal for too much longer than perhaps 1 day from now. And with that being said, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, obviously with that latest dump, we wiped out a bunch of long positions sitting at roughly around 99,000, give or take, but we still have a lot of liquidity towards the upside to watch out for, which we didn't fully take out previously, and that was sitting in between around 107.3k to 108k. So really at around 107,000 to 108,000, we have a lot of liquidity right there, which means short positions getting wiped out if we break out above that area. And other areas of liquidity to watch out for are, first of all, 110,000 as a major point of liquidity. And below the price, we'd still have a decent amount of liquidity at around 97,000, give or take. So keep in mind, if, for example, we see another pullback and actually a rejection from this area, we still have some more liquidity down closer towards this low. And so those are the important levels on the price chart to watch out for. Once again, as of recording this video, the price structure in the short term is still more bearish than bullish, forming lower highs and lower lows, and we've not yet confirmed the breakout. But if this breakout confirms, and especially if it confirms and then we form a higher low above this previous low, then that would be a change in the price structure, flipping bullish again in the short term. But remember, this entire time here, no matter what happens here in the short term, the entire time we're still within a larger bull market when we're zooming out, looking at the larger timeframes, looking at the bigger picture. And also, if we're taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto funding rates, the funding rates are relatively neutral at the moment, but still a little bit more negative than they are positive, because the neutral rate is really 0.01%, not exactly 0%. And so, like I explained in my last video, negative funding rates, like what we'll we were seeing yesterday, as I explained, can help the price actually with a quick recovery back towards the upside, not a slow recovery. Because as I explained yesterday, essentially once the bearish price action stops and once the short positions stop making money, basically they'll look to close or take profits from those short positions because they're paying a lot of fees when the funding rates are negative. And when shorts either take profits or close, that adds buying pressure into the underlying asset, in this case buying Bitcoin, which can quickly push the price back towards the upside. So that essentially explains this quick recovery alongside the quick recovery in the stock market. And once again, I did explain that in more detail in my last video here on the channel. So if you want to know more about the funding rates and how that can really influence the price, check out my last video. And with that being said, taking a look at the price of Solana on the weekly time frame, and just like Bitcoin on the weekly time frame, technically until confirmed otherwise, we're still within a larger bull market forming higher lows and higher highs, and technically we still have this price target at around $374. But of course, between the current price and this price target, we have a lot of resistance along the way, so be aware of that. And if we're taking a look at this 8-hour time frame, those points of resistance are mainly at around 260 and 271, but we also have this level of resistance based on previous support sitting at around 245 to 246. And as of recording this video, we've actually bounced just back above this level of support right here. And as of right now, we're actually retesting this area of support, and that's sitting at around $232. And we also have this area of support sitting in between around $220 to $223. And for now, that's exactly where we've bounced from. So that's the major area of support to pay attention to. But if we were to see a confirmed breakback below 220, then in that case, the next major area of support towards the downside is sitting in between 200 to 205. But for now, those are the levels of support to watch out for. And technically speaking, the short-term price structure for Solana, despite the latest little bounce here, is still currently bearish. If we're looking at the highs and the lows, we are seeing lower highs and lower lows, at least in the shorter term. So keep that in mind. The short-term price structure or short-term trend is currently more bearish than bullish until eventually, obviously, we confirm some bullish reversal signals like breaking out above resistance or forming higher lows. Those are the signals I'll be watching out for to start basically predicting more of a bullish trend starting to form. But for now, we've not really confirmed those bullish reversal signals in the price structure. So technically, the short-term trend is looking a little bit more bearish than it is bullish for now. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, Chainlink is currently testing and possibly breaking below this important Fibonacci level of support, which is the 23.6% Fibonacci level sitting at around $23.70. And technically speaking, we still need to see a daily candle close below that level in order to actually confirm the break towards the downside. But if that confirms, the next Fibonacci level of support to the downside is sitting at basically around $20. And would also likely find a lot of support in between around $19.20 to $20, basically in between around $19 to $20 based on these lows right here and that Fibonacci level at $20. And so in other words, if we confirm this break towards the downside below this level of support that I just mentioned, then we could likely see a continued pullback closer towards $20, give or take, and then down there would likely find a lot of support. And so for now, the shorter term situation for Chainlink is looking a little bit bearish, but of course the longer term situation, for now we're actually in a bit of a sideways price range on the daily time frame within a larger bull market. If we're zooming out, looking at the bigger picture, it's just the short term situation is currently looking a little bit bearish, especially if we confirm the break below this support, but for now that's not yet confirmed. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the 4-hour time frame, obviously just like stocks and Bitcoin, XRP also had a quick recovery over the last 1 day. So like I said, for XRP and a lot of the top altcoins, really pay attention to Bitcoin and also that stock market, because if they see a quick recovery, we'll likely see something similar for XRP and a lot of altcoins. And for now, the price of XRP has actually broken out back above these levels of previous support, which were acting as a little bit of resistance right here. So of course, this is a good sign to see for XRP in the short term, and those levels were sitting at around $2.95 and $3 $3.04. So I'll now expect support again at those levels. If we see another pullback here, I'd expect support at those levels. And if we were to see another break back towards the downside below around 295, then in that case, we have a lot of support in this price range, which is where we bounced from. And that's sitting in between $2.60 to $2.73. So basically around 260 to 270, we have a lot of support down there. And as for resistance, we still have a lot of resistance in this price range based on previous resistance sitting in between around $3.29 to $3.37. So really at around 330 to 340. Currently, we still have a lot of resistance right there. And in terms of the price structure or the trend in the short term, technically XRP is basically just broken back into this previous sideways price range in between this support at close to $3, give or take, and this resistance at close towards around 330 to 340. So for now, that is the current situation. I do expect potentially a bit of choppy sideways price action over the next few days within that range. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, something similar could be said for Ethereum, because for now, we're still technically within this sideways price range, despite that latest dump over the last couple of days here. So we still have a lot of support for now, sitting in between around 3,000 to 3.1K, and that is where we bounced from over the last couple of days here. But of course, we're not really seeing a lot of bullish momentum or anything like that, but we do have support in that area. And the area of resistance I'll be watching out for this sideways price range here is sitting in between around 34.30 to 35.60, where we have previously seen many rejections from. And so as I record in this video, we're simply within a sideways price range in the somewhat shorter term for Ethereum, but the price structure on the daily time frame overall is actually looking more bearish than it is bullish. If you're wondering, are we looking bullish or bearish? Technically, it is more bearish than it is bullish. If we're looking at the larger highs and the lows here, we are forming lower highs and lower lows despite the shorter term price structure in a sideways price range here. And so honestly, not a lot has changed over the last few days for Ethereum. So actually taking a quick look at the price of Cardano, which is still one of the top suggested altcoins in the comment section below these videos. And Cardano on the weekly time frame is still trading in between this previous 50% retracement level, which is acting as major support, sitting at around 83 cents. And of course, this major Fibonacci area of resistance, the golden pocket area of resistance, sitting in between around $1.13 to $1.23, acting as significant resistance. And so the price of Cardano is basically in a massive sideways price range, chopping around between 83 cents and around $1.20, give or take, major resistance and major support, basically holding the price range bound. But that is the current situation for Cardano in terms of the sideways price range. But when we're zooming out to the much larger trend, of course, we are forming higher lows and higher highs on this weekly time frame, which is, of course, a bullish market, a bull market. And that next major move towards the upside in the bull market will obviously only happen if we first confirm a breakout above the golden pocket. And if that were to happen, then I would expect to move up towards around $1.70, give or take, which is close towards this next Fibonacci level of resistance, which is actually at around $1.75 to $1.76. But remember, between the current price and this higher price target, we have major resistance in between $1.13 to $1.23. So if we see a pump back up towards that area, continue to expect the price to struggle a lot in that price range. And as I say over and over again here on the channel, for the price of Cardano and a lot of cryptos out there, basically just pay attention to the price of Bitcoin, because if Bitcoin has a major pump or a major dump, a lot of the crypto market really just follows similar price action to what Bitcoin is doing. And remember, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those extra bonuses that you can only claim using those links. And also, if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, you can profit from all of that price action by watching these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.